Chapter 77. The Boston Massacre, March 5th, 1770. That was very much on Agent Carter's mind when he ran straight into a wall of three large, stern-looking men blocking his path. Carter quickly raised his weapon and pointed it directly at each man in turn. He was looking down the sight, his expression filled with threatening resolve. "Move!" he shouted. "Move, or I will fire on you." The other agent stopped cold, watching anxiously, looking around nervously as the mood of the crowd around them changed. The change turned the blood of the agents cold. Carter still held his weapon, a finger hovering at the trigger. The three men were nonplussed and even seemed steeled by the threat of being shot. Carter had the impression that these men were combat veterans, which he was not. He knew from incidents around the country that he could escape legal culpability if he were to shoot and even kill a U.S. citizen. It was an easy thing to impugn them as impeding his investigation. Without evidence, or even understanding the details of an incident, he could rely on the administration and its media cohorts to discredit the reputations of the victims and sweep any investigation under the rug. But Carter also understood that the Boston Massacre proved the spark that lit the American Revolution's fuse. Looking at the disgusted and furious faces around him, Carter wasn't thinking of Boston in 1770, but of the Bastille prison in Paris, July 1789, which began the French Revolution and deposed the king. The governor of the prison and another official were beheaded and their heads raised and paraded on pikes. The mob lynched the prison guards. Carter eased his finger off the trigger and lowered the weapon slightly. He ordered his men to stand down with a hollow gesture. Most of the agents were new and untested. Moreover, they could also read the temperature of the crowd. For Psycho and me, we were hardly out of the woods yet. The agent was against the wall, cornered by the sergeant from the crowd. He held his weapon by the strap down beside his left leg, effectively disarming himself and leaving his fate at the mercy of the crowd, who wished for victory in the form of helping the kid, or blood if that failed. News cameras arrived. At the edges of the crowd, more Chicago cops arrived and began to diplomatically peel people from the melee. "You called that young man the N-word," a woman accused. "That true?" the rookie accused more than asked. The agent, realizing the futility of the situation and wondering just where the hell his backup was, could only shake his head and sigh. "You don't have nothing illegal on you, do you, son?" the sergeant asked once more. "Share my lunch, officer," Psycho smiled. "You can go," the sergeant said, and signaled for people to let him pass. He glared at the shrinking and cornered agent. "Leave the rest to me." Cheers and applause erupted as the crowd parted for Psycho to pass. Once through, the crowd closed ranks yet again. Just about then, Carter and his team managed to reach the beleaguered agent. "Where's the kid?" asked Carter. He had to shout to be heard over thundering chants from the crowd of "Whose streets? Our streets!" and "The people united will never be defeated." Psycho ran all the way to Michigan Avenue. The Stradford Transit Authority bus was just pulling away from the corner when Psycho banged down the window. The driver screeched to a stop. The door opened. We found a seat near the back. Psycho opened his jacket and I spilled out onto the seat beside him. We looked at each other with astonishment before both of us busted out laughing.